And what was your opinion about that spectacle yesterday?
Well, I think when the news came out that he was unvaccinated, I think it kind of shocked a lot of people. And then, of course, the times we live in, they pulled a clip that he said, I'm immunized. And then he went on, they asked him first, are you vaccinated? He said yes, and then he said, I'm immunized. So whether you want to slice and dice it, he was disingenuous with his answer. And at the end of the day, I understand that people want to say this is a privacy thing, but we're going to know Guy's status if you test positive, just like you said on the herd yesterday, by the protocols you have to follow to get back. So I don't think this should be so political. I mean, at the end of the day, any job, anything that you're in, you have to follow protocols. Like, in the words of E40, everybody has choices. And just because you make a choice that you feel like is wrong for your employer doesn't mean you don't have a choice.
No, you're absolutely right. And as far as the political thing goes, I've actually decided, because I was thinking about this a lot last night. I was letting it percolate. And I've decided I'm going to push back when people say that it's political because, in fact, sorry, my headphones just decided to die on me, so I'm just going to keep rambling until I can hear Ashley again. Okay. It's not political. It's not political at all. Because if it was political, then a particular side of, I don't know, politicians would be pushing for you to not be vaccinated. And if you have a brain and you can read and you can hear and you understand the English language, then you know that both sides, both parties are encouraging you to be vaccinated. Donald Trump has said out of his face, get vaccinated, and I am vaccinated. President Biden has said, I am vaccinated and get vaccinated. So it's in fact not political at all. It's just when people use the word political, they throw it, they sprinkle it on it, and then everyone freaks out. It's like, oh, time to take sides. Like, there actually is no side. It's just a side of your choice, but it is not in fact political.
Well, and that's the thing. We're living in a day and age where everybody feels like my choice is more important than anybody else's, and that's totally fine. I mean, I think everybody should do what is in their best interest, but that goes both ways, and that's my whole argument when it comes to this whole vaccination status. You can choose to be unvaccinated, but if you are working in an environment where they require you to be vaccinated or you have to go through certain protocols, if you're not, you can either choose to work in the environment and follow, or you can choose to not be in the environment. Like, this isn't that hard of a concept.
It's really not. And guess what? You're free, so are your employers. It doesn't stop at your doorstep. If everybody's free, everybody's free then. So, like, they can be free to not employ you because that's how it works. Okay, so moving on from Aaron Rodgers and his nonsense, there was a whole spectacle in Cleveland this week, and we just talked to Dustin Fox earlier, and he's in Cleveland, and he pointed out a couple interesting things. Like, people in the locker room are kind of starting to take sides now. Like, they don't want Odell gone. There's guys that support Baker. Like, we're not sure if Baker's the future. There's all these questions now, and you're going into a very big game, like a season-determining game this weekend against the Bengals. What is your opinion on this whole Odell Baker situation?
You know, I can remember where I was when the trade went through, and it was one of those where are you moments, because this was supposed to change the, trajectory of NFL history. I just think that this marriage was doomed from the start. At the end of the day, Baker Mayfield, he is a solid quarterback in the sense of if you put him in the right positions, he won't lose it for you. But he is not that guy, and he's never been that guy. And when you bring in someone like an Odell who has the talent, who has the draw, all that attention therefore went to Baker. And I give Kevin Stefanski a lot of credit. He designed this team very well. They have a great two-headed monster. They have a solid defense. But Baker is a guy, he does well when you give him about 15 to 20 attempts in the game, and he doesn't turn it over. Like, that's their formula. And that doesn't bode well for a guy like Odell Beckham, who has a great skill set. So I just think that this was doomed from the start. And I feel like Odell is kind of getting the short end of the stick because we really have not heard from Odell. I know his dad came out, but he's really gone out and been a good soldier. I think any team that picks him up is going to do fine, but I don't really put all the onus on Odell, and I don't really fully put it on Baker either. I just think this was not a good fit.
Thank you. That's why we're friends. I agree wholeheartedly. Everything you just said is actual facts. I think this is on the front office and the front office only. Odell did a tremendous job of buying into it from the beginning, and I did not ever think it was a fit. It doesn't fit on the field with Baker, and they should have seen this coming. It didn't have to get messy, and now it's the big conversation going into one of the most important games, if not the most important game of the season. So Baker's banged up, and now the conversation is becoming, well, you're not going to have Odell there, so it's really on you. Like, we're really going to get to see what Baker is. Like, the pressure's on. I don't believe they should move on from Baker Mayfield. Now, I don't think he should get $40 million a year. I don't think he should get a Mahomes contract, but I do think that Baker has done a good enough job to show that he is the franchise quarterback in Cleveland. And of course, when you're evaluating these situations, you have to look at best case and worst case scenario. So, like, you move on from Baker, who are you going to get? So, like, you guys have been a disaster for 2 decades. And I, like, appreciate what you have a little bit. What do you think about what they're going to do with Baker?
Honestly, and this is the other thing, too, they're not bad enough to where they're going to get high draft picks anymore. Right. So it's not like you can go back and, we're 1 or 2 every year, so, we're just going to get a gem out of the draft. That's not guaranteed. And then when you look at the free agency quarterback market, who's out there that is substantially better than Baker? Like Case Keenum, I mean, he's maybe a notch above or equal to, but that's what I'm saying. Those are the kind of guys that are out there. Baker fits Cleveland. Like, when you talk about fit, that is another component. He fits what they do. And again, the only reason the Browns have had so many issues is because Chubb got hurt, Kareem Hunt got hurt, and people have been banged up. So it put more of the attention on Baker, and you realize, he really isn't that guy. And a lot of this has been camouflaged by the run game and Myles Garrett and the solid defense.
We're talking to Ashley Ross, sports reporter. You can follow her on social media at Ashley Ross 33 on Twitter and Ashley Ross 3 on Instagram. Okay, so let's move away from the drama and let's talk some serious football guy stuff. Who do you think actually is the best team in the league right now?
I would have to say 1A, the Rams, slight edge right now, and then 1B is the Bucs. Number 1, the Rams, they're a juggernaut. And if they have any chance at Odell, the league better step in like they did with the Chris Paul trade and veto it, because this is ridiculous. I know that's not exactly how it happened, but
no, it's a different league,
the Rams, when the Rams got Von Miller, I was like, what? The thing that I respect about the Rams, I used to dog them because they didn't have any draft picks. But why not? I mean, teams, you only have such a short window in the NFL, and you've got to respect the Rams that after they lost the Super Bowl and after they realized, okay, the MO was out on Jared Goff, we're not going to win with this dude. He's been exposed. They didn't say, well, let's just keep trying things in the words of Cat Williams. They said, no, we are going to switch it up and we are going to win now. So I've got to give a lot of credit to the Rams for actually trying to win now and actually putting the right pieces in place to win now.
No, I think I agree with you. I do still like the Cardinals a lot. I want to see.
I've never been sold on the Cardinals for some reason.
I like the Cardinals.
If you look at the way that their seasons have finished the last 2 years, they start off really hot, really electric, and then they fizzle at the end. So I just want to see, can they keep momentum?
Well, I want to see, this weekend is going to be interesting. It's in my favorite 5 for games to pay attention to this weekend because Kyler Murray's banged up. So if he can play through that, and how is he going to look with that? Because, obviously his mobility is a big part of what makes him so dynamic. But I'm with you on the Rams and the draft picks because I've been on this for years. Look, I'm ahead of my time. I see things before they happen. And I've been saying for years that if you are a organization that's in a Super Bowl window, why are you hoarding draft picks? Like, I feel like front offices and GMs, like, they get so attached. Like, we got to have all these draft picks and like draft capital. And it's like, okay, but those draft picks take time to develop, and you're not in the developing stage anymore. You're in the kill stage, and you need to have some dogs, and you need to have some veterans, and you need to have some high skill players that can come in, some stars, and use those draft picks to get those guys rather than continuing to just try and build to the draft. Now, obviously you don't want to have no draft picks, but what the Rams are trying to win right now, they don't need a bunch of rookies out there. If you're a young developing team, yeah, you want a lot of draft picks because you want all of them to develop at the same time so that when you're no longer young, all of those players ideally are then all veterans and are good. But if you're the Rams, what do you need a bunch of draft picks for?
Exactly. The thing is, like you said, they get so attached to these picks, and there's no guarantee. How many times do we see guys that go high and unfortunately they don't make it, they're bust, or their productivity takes a while to develop?
Yeah, I mean it's a crapshoot. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I do like the Rams. I got to see what Matthew Stafford's going to do in the postseason. You know, he's done a tremendous job. It's worked out great. It's not looked so good for Jared Goff, actually, who I was a bit of a defender of. I didn't think he was as bad as everyone made him out to be. But
I defended him too.
It appears I might have been a little off on that. He might not be great without Sean McVay. And I think Sean McVay is an incredible coach. Like he is just very, very impressive. And I like everything that the Rams are putting together. So I'm with you there. If I have to pick, I still think I'm leaning towards the Cardinals. And that's probably disrespectful to the Bucks, who you mentioned.
Over the Bucks?
Who, yeah, I mean, let's just I want to mix it up, right? I love the Bucks. The Bucks are playing great. I know they're going to sneak in at the end and probably win the whole thing. And I mean, why not? I've never doubted Tom Brady ever again.
But it's fun to debate during the season. I feel the same way. Like, we know probably when push comes to shove, Tom Brady and the Bucks two-peat, but it's fun to discuss.
Well, look, we're splitting hairs here, but at the end of the day, and this is what I've been saying since the start of this particular season, especially because we now have 17 games for the first time. All these great teams, we're having to mention the Bills, like these teams at the top of the league. It's, in my opinion, it's just going to come down to really if the stars are healthy when the season is at the end, because we see injuries obviously every single year, and we're at the time of the year now where like every team is dealing with multiple injuries, and health is always important. But man, like with this extra game, it's going to be really important to be healthy at the end of the season.
Exactly. And there's so much parity in the league. Like, the thing that stands out to me this season is that everybody can be beat. And usually there's one or two that's just above the crop. But I'm like, no, everybody can be beat this season.